guys. This is Glenda from Glenda's Dragon's Den, and this is LD, and we have our special guest, and we have to kind of do a little restart there. Deb, I'm sorry. Deb DeRousse.
It's okay.
She's a medium. She's an author. She's a gorgeous woman inside and out. And she's telling us about her being able to see spirits and talk to them basically from birth. And so you had us at a year and a half. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's great because they miss some of the funnier things, but
let them come to the show.
Let them come
go to the events.
There you go. Come to the events.
And
yes,
we can act it
the
out
rest of the
time.
story.
There you go.
Right. So I was talking about being young and being able to see and hear spirit, and my father not understanding and not happy about it, thinking there was something mentally wrong with me. Now, I was born in 1958, so we know back then this wasn't cool. Not at all. It wasn't until later, I was probably about 4 or 5 years old, when I was saying things to him that he knew came from the other side, his grandma. And that's when he thought, I was really evil. So
oh boy.
It kind of progressed from there. Now, luckily, my mother was a closet medium. I didn't know. My father was very religious, and my mom knew, even though she was Catholic, so, it was very hush-hush. She did do closet readings. Women would come over and come in our back door after Dad would go to work and have readings with Mom. So it does run in my family. It goes way back. So working with spirit is not something that just kind of happened when I grew up or got older. It was something that I dealt with all my life. And of course, as you guys know, that oftentimes leads us into paranormal. And I think, at least for me, Glenda, I really wanted, when I was younger, people would come to me for some reason. It was like they just knew.
Right.
That I could help them. They'd say, I think I've got something in my house. Now, this was before ghost hunters and all that stuff. So, I was kind of doing it then, but I really wanted people to be able to experience what I experienced. It's like, I can see them and hear them. Why can't you? I want people to know that this is true, that I'm not really crazy. Even though we doubted ourselves, right? Yeah. So that was kind of my lead into the paranormal field. Just people coming to me and wanting to know what's going on in my house. I know that you'll know. Well, I don't know how they knew I'd know. But I would usually go over and take my big old camera and, my cassette player. Was it even cassette back then? No. Right.
For real.
The big ones.
The real for real. Those,
right.
I remember those.
Yeah. So, back then I had those, and I used dowsing rods more for the client so they could see, and I would, ask them, you hold them and communicate. So, paranormal has always been who I am and what I do. I've always had a love for it because I know that it exists. So, some of us investigate not to find out what's on the other side, but to show others what's on the other side.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it, or was at. And that was many moons ago. So probably by the time I was, 20, I was doing quite a bit of it. And then people would come and, come see me for readings, even though I didn't advertise. I never said I do readings. but they would come to me. Did you have that as well?
Yes, I did. Yes, I
Yeah.
did.
So somehow people know. They just know.
It's beacon of light, right?
I think so.
Right? That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
I think
So-
also sometimes things go on that regular people don't do. I know that happened to me in my college, and once word got out, it was beating a path to my dorm room. But how did you get from there to MUFON?
Oh my gosh. Well, many years in between. I can tell you that I've always, you can't really believe in the paranormal or know that it exists without realizing that it's a big vast of different things,
Right.
Other beings on and off this planet. So MUFON really didn't happen for me until after 2016. And that was when I was preparing for world's largest ghost hunt. And Brian Cano had instructed all mediums to, spend about a week prepping. Be open to contact from anything. Were you guys involved in that in 16?
No, not 16.
Okay. That was the year. I mean, it was really all about connecting with time stream and connecting with other beings other than just ghosts.
Right.
So I was very open and setting up I was on location, and it was crazy because being so open and being a medium, you're almost trying to block while you're communicating with humans, and you're trying to accomplish things. So you're open, but you're not,
Right.
So we were setting up, and it was about 1:00 in the morning. I said, my God, I've got to get home. So I was driving home from the location, which was at that time I lived about 8 miles away from there. And I got about 5 miles down the road, and all of a sudden the weirdest thing happened. I felt really weird and almost nauseated. And I had this, it was like all the hair on my body, all the hair on my body just stood up and was being pulled. And it was crazy. But I looked down at my clock because I knew where I was at. And I thought, my sister is right around the corner. I might not make it home. That's another 3 miles. So I'll go to my sister's. And I looked at the clock, and it was 1:11. And as I'm looking at the clock, I'm thinking, my God, this is it. This is it. I'm going to die right now. So as I'm looking up, it was really bright, and I see this huge pyramid coming down over my car, and it was slowly rotating. Very, very weird. I couldn't move my hands. My interior lights came on, and my car just bogged right down. So, I was kind of freaking out, and I'm thinking, this is it. I'm going to die. But at the same time, and I get the feeling LD's going to get this, I had this immense feeling of love. I couldn't explain what that was, but it was so intense. And then I was in my driveway. I'm sitting in my driveway, and my interior lights are still on. My hands are still frozen to the steering wheel. And I'm thinking, what the hell just happened? Well, I finally get out. I look to the skies, trying to figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. Ran in my house, and I contacted one of the women who was on location with me. Well, I didn't realize until a few days later, 2 days later, when Bill Konkleski, our MUFON director in Michigan, advised me to, get everything, write everything down from that evening, copy that conversation even and save it. When I went to copy that conversation, it was an hour and 9 minutes after I had looked at the clock. Now remember, I was 3 miles from home. And I wrote immediately. So anyways, and all of this happened. I didn't eat, I didn't sleep. I became very obsessed with what happened. I never disbelieved that they existed, but I never had that kind of a knowing.
Right.
Well, people say to me, how do you define paranormal? And I say to them, well, how do you define normal? And whatever they say, I just say, everything else.
Yep. I like that. I like
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
I'm here all week. Try the chicken.
That's great because you're right. I mean, it's everything except for what most people see as normal.
Exactly.
And given the fact that our senses only perceive a very narrow scope of reality.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That leaves kind of a lot of territory.
It does.
I jumped to MUFON because your main event in Michigan is very MUFON oriented, isn't that? Am I correct in that?
Well, it is. I ended up becoming a member of MUFON, and for a short time became a field investigator for MUFON. It's not really my thing to do it that way, but I love MUFON. I love what they stand for, and I love what they do. And yes, Bill Konklowski is an every year speaker. He always has a MUFON meeting Saturday morning at the event. And it's not a MUFON event, but we have a lot of MUFON involved.
Well, that's why I said oriented. And lately you've had some contact as well, have you not?
Oh, tons.
Yeah. So anyone who's available in September, am I right?
September 22nd and 23rd.
All right, get a hold of this lady and get out to Michigan, and you probably will have an experience.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Are open to it because you do have to be open to it generally to have it.
Right.
Well, it helps, but there's nothing better. And I don't even know if I should say this on the air, but I'm going to.
Oh, go ahead.
There's nothing better than to have someone who's super skeptical and saying, you're crazy. And then they come in a week later to our store and say, you're not going to believe what happened.
But if you're really not open to it, one of the possibilities is catatonia. So, you kind of have to be open to it, or you're just going to shut down from the shock.
Yeah.
But,
that's true, because I can tell you now that after my big experience in 2016, when I look back over my life, there have been many times in my life that I had been taken. I just didn't
you
recognize
were even taken into what we would perceive as a hospital, a teaching hospital. I was there, so I remember. But you were taken, and it was 2009. You were having some issues, health issues. I don't know what it were, but it was around.
And we wouldn't disclose it even if we did. We're very HIPAA oriented here.
Right. But so
you got better.
I keep saying, to them, look, if you're going to take me for any amount of time, can you do dishes at least? I mean, the ghosts are not willing to do it. Can you do it? It would be like a 2-second thing for you guys.
They never do.
No, nobody does. Nobody does dishes.
If they can take me from one spot on the road in my vehicle or put me back in my vehicle and take me home, they should be able to do the dishes.
dishes
or vacuum or something.
something. No.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is what the beginning of the Michigan UFO Contact event, how that came about was, I knew I had been downloaded with all kinds of things that during that experience in 16. And at the end of the season, my husband and I were sitting at the table and he said, wow, I'm pretty tired out. I'm kind of glad it's the end of the season and we're not speaking anywhere, not doing anything. We get some time, a few months to sit and relax. And I turned and looked at him and I said, we're putting on a UFO con. Now, I never had a thought about saying that. I never even wanted to do something like that.
Right.
But out it came. And as soon as I said it, I knew it was something that was put there.
Right.
And then after saying it, every person that I knew I had to contact about presenting or helping with that event,
Mm-hmm.
I'd contact them and they'd say, yes, absolutely.
See?
It all fell right into place. And I think that's one reason, everybody that comes there says it's one of the most loving, intimate learning experiences that they've had in this field, because they go to other conferences and they're a conference.
Right.
This is different. Everybody is, we don't like the ego-based teachings or speakers. It's all about working together, learning together, helping other experiencers. So, yeah. And we always have some great speakers. We were talking earlier. We have not announced our speakers for this year yet, but I'm super excited. Super
Good.
excited. Yeah.
And maybe we'll have some of them on the show.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll have to secretly drop you some names and drop them some names and and do that. And I can say that, we will have some new people. Some people who have been there will be there again.
Good.
So, yeah, it's.
I can't wait until you start announcing it.
Well, another thing we talked about was, your event is so cherished that
Thank you.
Without announcing who's going to show up, you've already had a good shot at ticket sales.
Right. Yeah.
So
that really surprised me. Yeah.
But
last year and this year.
People are hungry for the understanding of oneness and the understanding of a cosmic consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's going on don't make no sense to most of us. And there's this incredible hunger for that love and that unity.
Right.
And you provide that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. But again, I can't take the credit. It was all downloaded information. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think with a lot of what's going on right now, even, you guys being here doing this show,
yes,
you're part of this.
But never underestimate the power of free will. And you could refuse to do it. But you are putting yourself out there, because when you started this, like you said, it didn't really exist before.
Right.
So you put yourself out there and you did the work. And for doing the work, you're entitled to be recognized, in my opinion.
Well, thank you. And yeah, it is a lot of work. I'm not going to lie about that. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of behind the scenes planning, organizing. Yeah, it's almost insane. And every year at the end, when I'm getting close to it being over, I'm thinking, oh God, I can't do this again next year.
And then you start right up again.
And by the time the event is fully over, I'm already thinking of, okay, who's coming next year?
So, how can we make it better?
Yeah. How can we make it better?
Yeah.
Who do the people need next year?
Exactly.
And that's what it's all about.
But that's really also part of the synchronicity of it, because by coming from who do the people need next year, a lot of those people will be available and will be there.
Yeah.
You know, people don't get how interesting it is to have that certain cognition.
Right.
But you know, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And you know, it comes with its share of challenges. But you know, to be able to say to somebody, "Well, have you considered this?" No, but that's a great idea. Well, thank you. Why don't you go do it now? Go do the work. It's your work. Go do it.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I
Now,
love it.
You have to, you know, because it's so much a part of us.
yes.
Right.
You know, you framed it as obsessed. I'd like to frame it as passion.
Passion's definitely a nicer word, and I definitely have a passion for this work, all paranormal, but yeah, I'm still obsessed. You know, when
Okay,
I'm a
but
person,
I'm not qualified to diagnose, so I have to stop at passion. Like Glenda is very, very passionate.
She is. I
I'm
love that about
obsessed too with certain things. Okay.
We get one another, Glenda. We do.
Oh yes.
From the very first time I talked to you, it's like, I know.
Yeah.
We get one another.
Exactly. Exactly. And yes, everything falls into place as it should.
Yeah.
And you were telling us about, you know, your experiences. And now, how did it says an author, you're an author. We know that. Tell us a little bit about your books.
Well, thank you, honey, because I was trying to figure out when to work that segue in, because
Ah,
the books have to come from somewhere,
right.
you know, because you wouldn't just write about something that you didn't care about.
Right.
Right.
So
Right.
can you tell us a little bit about how the books were birthed?
I can. Well, you know, it's funny because I all my life thought about writing books and just never did it. Like many mediums, I am ADHD, and my brain's always going, and I think of all kinds of things. My first book is called Defeating the Archons, a Twin Soul Mission. And that book was written in 2016 when I met my twin soul, my husband Arjay. We got together, and during the whole first year, it was like total insanity of what is this? We knew that we had so many synchronicities, so many things that led to the whole twin soul, twin flame phenomenon that we had to investigate. And as we were looking into it, we found that most of what you find on the web is BS.
Yep.
It's all about, twin flame, hot sex, you know, all that. And it really...
Wait a minute. That's
okay. I'm not
necessarily mutually exclusive.
I'm not saying that does not exist.
Okay.
I'm saying it's way deeper than that.
Right.
It really is. I mean, we have physical attributes that are identical. So many things, like when he had a stroke, he didn't have pain in his head. I had the pain in the exact spot where the stroke was happening.
Well, how nice for you.
Yeah. I mean, go figure. Things like when we first met, I knew him. Right. I had painted him. I had written poetry to him. It was insane. So we thought, okay, we have to write a book because a lot of the information is not really correct that's out there.
Right.
So we did. We took a lot of our conversations, because the conversations, and you guys get this, between a twin soul couple and any other couple, not that they're not wonderful too, but it's different. It's very different. So we decided to save these conversations and put some of it out, not all of it, but put some of it into a book. And we had a lot of issues with the whole spiritual attack that happens when a twin soul couple comes together.
Yes.
There is that dark side that really wants to destroy that union, because that union is a strength of light that really, it's very powerful, as you two get. Okay. So that was our first book.
And I just want to be clear, that book is nonfiction.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Because from
it's
the
heart
title,
and
people
soul.
might think, but if people, because people constantly ask, what's a twin flame? What's a soul connect? Get the book.
Yeah. It's pretty raw, but that's and you can find it on Amazon.com. So there's that.
And you can also get it signed at your events.
Right.
Yes, we usually have them at our events, always. And then our second book is Worlds Beyond Death, Examining Alternate Realms of Existence. And that was written with Arjay's brother, who was a world-renowned numerologist, Michael Cassett. He did the numbers for many of the celebrities and all of that out in Hollywood, and but he came up with his own number system, and he did a lot of channeling, and he actually wrote a book. I don't remember what he titled it right now, but a lot of that is in this book. We collaborated with him because when he wrote the book, he couldn't get anywhere with it. He couldn't get anyone to publish it. So we sat and rewrote it. And a lot of it is channeled numbers. The number's 325. Hard to explain unless you read the book. So buy the book. But there's also some stories, some mediumship information in there and things like that kind of, to us, tells you there is no true death. The soul is eternal.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is our two books. And again, you can get them on Amazon. You can contact us on Facebook or, any of our events that we either put on or work.
And you also do your own show, correct?
We do, yes. Mystical Awakenings Vodcast is what we call it now. Currently, we are on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. Bill Forte is our producer, and he's absolutely wonderful. And that helps us because, again, being a medium and that ADD thing, I was constantly, for years, doing radio and trying to keep up with chat at the same time. I'm just not very good at that. So yeah, Mystical Awakenings, I actually started probably 6 or 7 years before meeting Arjay. So that is something that, he kind of came into, and now we do it together.
And when is that broadcast?
Every Thursday night at 8:00 p.m. Eastern time. Why did I almost say Central time?
I don't know. Where you going? Where are you planning to
go? In there for a moment. No, I've always lived Eastern time, so it's Eastern time. Yeah, 8 to 9 every Thursday night.
Okay, all right.
And I just started another show. Voices of Contact, and that's done with Mary Bassett, Michael Carter from Ancient Aliens, and Bill Konkleski, who is our state director for MUFON. And Mary Bassett is a regressionist hypnotist for MUFON and does it on her own. And what the show is bits and pieces of recordings. Now, she had permission from her clients to record their regression, and she would take pieces of that and play it, and then we all give what we feel about it or think about it. And the first one, we put out a teaser today so people can get an idea of what the show is. And it'll be airing on the 10th.
Oh, and at what time?
I believe 8:00.
And doing the quick math, the 10th doesn't conflict with this show, so everybody, can watch that guilt-free.
Right. Yeah, we have to keep them all separate because, that's the way
We
it
have to keep
is.
them separated.
We don't want anyone to miss this for one of those or those for you guys. And,
Exactly.
yeah.
And, that's the thing about a lot of people that don't understand that we are trying to unite.
Yeah.
So because we're one soul anyway, we're basically part of oneness. So
Yeah.
why not in our fields we don't unite and help each
Right.
other, and we all grow and we all elevate each other.
Right.
It's very different than trying to fight.
Plus, there's enough people who would benefit from the different facets, where the same audience for one show may be different than an audience for another show. I mean, we chose Wednesday, because Glenda was like, well, what day should I do it? And I said, well, Wednesday's hump day. You're with the humps, so.
And Deb's show is on Thursday, so Wednesday's perfect.
There you go.
Yeah. And Glenda and Deb are a little alike. A lot alike. Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, that works out well.
Yes, of course. And now, hubby, you met him when?
I met him. He walked into Mystical Awakenings Books and More in 2016 in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
He actually had moved to the town I live in 3 years prior to that. Now, I live in a pretty small town, and really the only place to shop is Walmart. So why I never saw him for 3 years is beyond me. But yeah, he came walking into my store, and I was actually in the back room mixing oils.
Mm-hmm.
And the little dinger went off, and I got goosebumps. Something felt really different.
Mm-hmm.
So I come out of the back room, and I start to walk to the front of the store, and I see this dude in a leather jacket and long hair and all biker looking, and he's walking toward me, and I'm kind of walking toward him, and he opened up his arms. And I thought, he must think I'm freaking crazy. I grew up in the city. I'm not walking into his arms. There's no way. No way. But what'd I do?
You walked right into his arms.
I did.
Well, I can understand that because the first time that happened to me, I was 16 years old doing apprenticeship at the Cape Cod Melody Tent in Cape Cod, obviously, in Hyannis. And Jerry Lewis walked into the other side of this 5,200 seat 2-pole tent venue. And I dinged, and I felt that man walk in. And that was the first time that I can honestly say that happened to me. So I know exactly what that feels like.
And that was the original Twin Soul.
I loved your list. I used to volunteer for the telethons.
Cool.
I used to work those. Yeah. He's an amazing man.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's our little love story and how we met, and it was nuts.
And
Totally
the ride
nuts.
after that was just very interesting.
Yeah. And by 2018 we had gotten married, published 2 books, done several speaking engagements together. He stepped right in and started doing radio with me. I mean, it was, yeah.
Well, I mean, with a real twin soul, I'm not saying that it always happens like that, but it's certainly, you're just putting one step in front of the other. It's like walking, and you're both in the same direction. So it certainly makes perfect sense to us.
Yeah. Yeah. And, with us too, I was 58 years old when we met.
Mm-hmm.
We were not, youngins.
Right.
So, I think it's different when you meet when you're younger. They have a lot of the back and forth and, all of that. So, yeah, we just got on with business. It's like, hey, there's a lot of years behind us. We have time to make up for. So. Yeah.
Yes, I know that feeling. We met in August of 2016.
Really?
Yes, that's why I heard you say 2016. I'm like, wait, did she really just? That's why I asked you again. Yes, I was taking a class because I like to go to different mediums and mediumship classes anyway, because you never know what you're going to pick up, right?
Right.
You
Right.
just never know. And he he walks in back, and I'm talking to my friends.
She's talking to her entourage.
My friends.
Let's be real.
and
I love it.
He says some smart ass stuff.
Who, me?
Yeah, you. And it's just like
Sugar doesn't melt in my mouth.
I didn't even turn around, and all I said was, "Is that how you speak to somebody you just met?" And then we were off.
And what did I say?
You don't know.
You should hear that shit I don't say.
Right. And that was it. It was like, oh yeah. Here we go. We're doing the tango.
And so you two have been together since then?
Right. Well, originally we met about 25 years before in New York City. I was taking a Reiki class when it was just in New York City, big auditorium type of thing. And I went for pizza, and he was with his son at that pizzeria. And I got told, that's him, but he's not ready.
And so now whenever we have any sort of bristling, I just look at her and go, and this is ready.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, don't remind me.
Right. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. It's wild how the whole twin flame, twin soul thing works out, because RJ and I found out that, he was neighbors to my aunt and uncle. We grew up, we should have crossed paths many, many, many times.
Right.
And we were never allowed to. It wasn't time.
Right. Exactly.
Until that day that he walked in the store.
Mm-hmm.
And he had been wanting to come in there for 3 years.
There you go. They finally said, okay, they're both ready.
Yep.
Because it kind of opens like a book when that happens. And it's like a whole bunch of memories. And I don't know, for me at least, a whole bunch of previous lifetimes together.
Oh, absolutely.
Flooded in. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Okay. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah,
now.
didn't I kill you last time?
Yes. Not last time.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have some of our past lives together in our first book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Yeah.
And you're right. They just came flooding. We would be talking, and all of a sudden one of us would be crying, because it's like, oh my God, do you remember? And it would just all be there.
Exactly. It's very interesting. And yes, I could see where a twin soul, twin flame may be startled by that connection and try to run away from it for a little bit, but you can't run away.
I tried.
It's like that pull. I tried. Mm-hmm. That pull just keeps, and I'm like, no. I said I wasn't getting involved with anybody else. Come on, don't do this to me. Why are you doing this to me? You promised. And
Back when it's like a Popeil commercial. But wait, there's more.
Yeah. It's wild.
It is. And there are some people that are lucky they meet each other, and they're able to meet each other when they're young and take their whole lifetime together. And I do believe most twin souls, twin flames are not united until a certain age. Right. Because they want all that experience and all that healing to occur.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, a lot of it is you have different lives to live.
Right.
That's why you split in the first place.
Yeah.
You weren't meant to be joined at the hip necessarily. So you've got to get that work done and out of the way in that soul evolution on your own and do your own work before it's time to work
Right.
with the other flame.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I totally agree with that. And I don't know about you guys, but with RJ and I, we're both on similar paths. I mean, we both came together, very passionate about the whole spirituality and paranormal and all these other things, but we were very opposite on how we work them.
Right. Yes.
He researches by reading and investigating, and I do to a point, but I'm more, I need to feel it. I need to meditate on this. I need to connect because I see when I connect. So mine it's totally different.
Right.
And so it's like, you have to bring it all together.
You and I function, I think, more that way. She's the ex-paralegal.
Yeah. I'm the one.
Not that she doesn't connect and all of that, but she's got to get every drop of information, to make sure that her hypotheses bear the load.
Yeah, I have to admit.
Yeah.
I'm that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
It's,
and that's okay. That's, it's all needed.
Right. And it's, the thing is the way I feel is, which I'm sure is how RJ feels. You find out something, you're like, oh, really? And then you got to figure out what size, what dimensions, this, that, or the other thing. And then all of a sudden, everything clicks in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, okay, I'm obsessed that way.
Sorry, I just saw a comment post up or pop up.
Oh, hi,
from Christopher, and I miss him. The last time I haven't seen, well, we only met one time, but I absolutely love him.
Well, one thing about Christopher, you meet him once and it's like friend for life.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he was friend for life when I first met him online. When I first read, Tim Shaw wrote the first book about his story, and I read that, and I was like up all night just in tears and wanting to hug him, and so just felt very connected. So, hi, Christopher. I just had to say hi everybody. I hadn't, trying to keep away from the ADHD thing. I'm trying not to look at comments, but hi everyone.
I got a puppy over here. You got a couple of puppies.
At home we do.
Oh, geez. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Christopher was on before, and
Christopher's always welcome.
Yes.
I'm
glad
he's
that
amazing.
Glad that he decided to say hello in the chat. So
I'm so glad he did. I miss him.
Yeah. So
but, it's, where do you go from here? I mean, I know you're fully engaged with the convention, but there's got to be other stuff.
Oh, always.
So
well,
what does the future hold?
Retirement someday.
No, there's I've tried. Okay, there's no such thing.
It doesn't happen in this field. Next month in March on the 4th, we will be in Ann Arbor at Potographs for Pooches. Great event by Tim Miley for Murray. And it's, we do this. I'm doing gallery readings to help all these 4-legged babies. They're helping the local shelter, and wherever he does one, that's, the shelter that gets the proceeds from that. Yeah. So we'll be in Ann Arbor doing that. During the summer, we're trying not to book too many events because the store keeps us busy and we have a family. We're open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday every week. And people think, oh, you only work 3 days a week. But Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are the days that we do readings and healings and all of those other things when we're not officially open. And then Sunday is our family day. So yes, we work all the time except Sunday. In August, we will be at Michigan Paracon. That's one that we usually don't miss. And then September, Michigan UFO Contact, September 23rd and 22nd, 23rd. November, almost always we are at the Old Mill Parafest down in Dundee, Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's for the Old Mill Museum. Beautiful, beautiful place to preserve that. And other things in between, we never know. We do pop-up psychic fairs and paranormal stuff. And, we investigate when we can. We do a lot of house cleansings. We're always busy. But people can always contact us on Facebook or through the, Michigan UFO Contact website.
What's the best way, your preferred way of contact?
Honestly, probably.
You could try.
Probably Facebook.
Right.
Deb Johnson DeRousse or Deb and Arjay. And it'll pop up. We do have email. I have trouble keeping up with email. So I don't a lot of times don't even give that out. The books are on Amazon. Sometimes people contact us through there. But most of the time it's through Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah. Or people come into the store or call the store. So,
all right.
And that's perfect. Mystical Awakenings.
Very good.
Pretty easy to find. Yeah.
Yes, Arjay, you and I are very, very much alike. We like that information highway.
Yes, your other listening. Half showed up.
Yeah.
Yes. Must not be any football on right now or something, huh? He loves me.
Well, it is a Wednesday. Another benefit of having a show on a Wednesday. You see, I say your other half because I don't want to be presumptuous, but we've already decided that Glenda is the better half.
Yes, everybody.
And she's happy to claim that.
Yeah. I always say I'm the better half. Who's the other half?
Well, in my opinion, there can't be a better half because it's two halves of one whole.
Right. Yeah, but
so how can one be better?
Yeah, better.
I tell myself that, if RJ does something that annoys me or I do something that annoys him, it's like, okay, we're equal. We can't be identical. You have to have those opposites.
Right.
So
exactly.
Well, the thing is, a lot of what I do is intuitive, but Glenda has done the work. I mean, you are a Reiki teacher, all right? In the SUI alone, she's a 22nd level. And she knows, I think, 10 other modalities at this point where she's a master teacher. So, she really, being the paralegal and all, she's got the certifications and everything else. So I'll give her better half.
Which I haven't hung one in my whole center, just so you know. I don't even like to display them.
Because, people say, well, are you really that good? And she just goes,
You tell me, right?
Oh,
well, when you can do Reiki internationally distance, in a podcast, whatever, and people, I felt that. Yes, of course you felt that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You were open, you felt it.
Definitely the beauty of Reiki.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. RJ's like, I can't get away with anything. We're twin soul and a medium.
Yeah, he loves to tell the story of when we were dating. He went out, he got a little intoxicated one evening.
Yeah.
And of course was not going to tell me that he was out there playing golf and got drunk. So I got a hold of him the next morning and I said, damn you. I've got the worst hangover. Why didn't you tell me you were going to drink? He's like, I don't know if I like this.
I just surrendered to it. There's so much positive that having Jiminy Cricket on my shoulder is something I can get used to.
Yeah. You kind of have to, don't you?
One day I'll be a real live boy.
Oh my goodness. You guys have been a riot.
Woody. He's bad. He's
It's
bad.
been a lot of fun hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
is there anything that we haven't covered? Because, we did go down some specific pathways, but I'm not sure. You do so much. Is there anything you want to touch on in the last 5 minutes or so?
Boy, if I had one message that I could share with the whole world, and they've all heard it from me, but they're going to hear it again, is, stay in a place of love. And that's really kind of what Deb is about. There's a lot of negativity in our world today. Mm-hmm. And I know that we are all human and we can't walk around just, all butterflies and unicorns and happy. But if we keep that core love inside of us, even when people really piss us off, because it's going to happen, mm-hmm. What we feel, what we think creates what really is. That's our reality. So I really urge everybody to, to stay in a place of love. If you can love yourself, Christopher. Yeah, unicorns. If we can love ourselves, that's a big part of the battle, because we can't love other people. We can't love the whole if we don't love this piece of the whole. Right. And we are all one big unit.
Right.
We come from the same place. And, when someone upsets you, remember that we don't know what they're going through. And if we're going to put negative out because they're being negative, what is that doing to the rest of the universe?
Well, we just have to remind ourselves that perception is projection. So if somebody's getting us upset, it's because we're seeing something that we need to work on, in my opinion. But back when Paul was doing his first reunion with Wings, I had the opportunity of facilitating his ENGs in the dressing room. And here I am sitting with the world's most successful composer. Can't say greatest because that's subjective, but successful, you can quantify that. And I'm like, well, here I am, and I'm a composer, and I'm sitting with the world's. What do I have to say to Paul McCartney? And I'm like, well, what do I have to say that's meaningful to him? Because I don't do codependency if I don't have to, and I decided the thing to do was just turn the lights off, because the dressing room, we had about 5 minutes till the next group came in, and the dressing room wasn't vented for the lighting and all. And I sit down, and he goes, so what do you do here? And I try to describe that. He says, I used to watch Transformers in Liverpool before I was a Beatle. And all he wanted to do is have a normal conversation. So when you talk about love, I see this as an incredible opportunity for love. Mm-hmm. No matter how challenging things are, it's just more of an opportunity for love. Mm-hmm. And he said it with his band, back in the 60s. All you need is love.
All you need is love. That's for sure. Love is all you need.
So yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Well, Deb, as always, it's been a pleasure. Please stay on.
Yeah, I think we've got a little more time, because we started a little late. No, they're going to throw us out.
They're going to throw us out. But I do want to thank you.
I don't want it to end.
I know we don't want it to end, but she's going to stay and she's going to speak to us privately for a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone who was here tonight, and everyone that's going to listen to us at a later time. Please email either one of us or send us messages. We love feedback. We love your suggestions. We love questions. Next week, we're going to have a very creative, passionate, and deeply connected, beautiful soul, Monica Ramirez.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me, and then you were going to go to the guest.
Monica Ramirez is the warrior of love. So, speaking of love, that's a great way to end it.
And a great way to approach Valentine's Day.
Love you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hang with us a couple minutes, please, Deb.